Hey everyone, this is Logan Hertz with Hazeltine LLC. I have with me today, as always, Peter Nelson. Peter, how you doing?
Logan, living the dream, my friend.
So today I thought we'd address a topic that I like to talk about, which is retirement accounts. This, of course, doesn't relate directly to the infinite banking concept, but I think it's something that's a fairly common question, fairly common subject that comes up. A lot of people are trained to contribute a lot of money to retirement accounts. And people, when they start learning about alternate strategies like the infinite banking concept, not that the infinite banking concept is an investment strategy, it is not. But they tend to start looking askance, maybe if they have a lot of money in a retirement account, and start questioning, why am I contributing to this retirement account? And what am I doing with this money that I really can't access? Right, Peter?
Yeah, I think that's the big thing is people find out real quick. I have a client right now, for example. They work for a big bank and they have a old retirement account at JP Morgan, the largest bank in this country. And this process started a couple months ago. He was told that the transfer would not happen until August 1st. And he was like, "Excuse me? August 1st? Are you kidding me?" I mean, that's really an extreme case, but I mean,
Oh, it's not that extreme. No, whose money is it really? And by the way, this is not limited to just retirement accounts. Retirement accounts obviously probably have the most limitations around accessing what's supposedly your money. But even with just like normal bank accounts, brokerage accounts, I mean, take your pick,
look,
right?
I even had and I'm not going to say their name, but I just had a Catholic fraternal insurance company hold up a client's transfer for 2 months, which was absolutely ridiculous. So, I mean, it happens even good companies sometimes they drag their feet, and we have to question why.
Liquidity, access, and control. That's what you want. Liquidity, access, and control. So we could go into a whole, maybe we'll do an episode on, is your money really yours, right? I mean, that the statement wealth, as we call it, when that number you see on your statement, is that actually your money? How quickly can you get access to it, right? I mean, you find out there's all kinds of limitations. So we could go down that rabbit hole. But what I wanted to talk about to sort of focus our conversation a little bit is asking the question, like, what practically speaking are the results people are getting with retirement accounts, right? Not what are the hypothetical advantages, the hypothetical benefits you could get, okay? But what are people actually doing? What is the actual experience of it, of the actual everyday person using retirement accounts? And I want to share an article. It's just a CNBC article, and I'm only going to share portions of it. I'll link it if you want to see the whole thing, just because I mean, there's so much junk with banner ads and everything that I just don't want to share. But this is the title of the CNBC article, and the title says it all. Half of Americans with retirement accounts have taken an early withdrawal. So, I mean, obviously, everybody knows when you put your money into a retirement account, the way it's structured is that you are penalized if you take out money before age 59 and a half, right? Um, and
Well,
that to me is already a problem, right?
and you can the technically take out a loan, right? But then you got to make sure to repay it. Then if you change jobs, so it all depends on how it's.
Yeah, I think you can only borrow out up to like $50,000, I think is the max. And it's a 50% of the value of your account up to a maximum of $50,000. So if you have hundreds of thousands of dollars in a retirement account, you can't borrow a large amount of it. And when you borrow from your 401k, not borrowing against, borrow from your 401k, you are no longer earning on the borrowed money. You
That
must
is
pay it
correct.
back with interest. And to your point, Peter, if you change employers, that balance is due within 90 days.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
the terms are not too advantageous, right?
Yeah. And I think I think it I think we're going to talk about, but it really comes down to, are Americans really doing, are they saving the right way? People think that they save by putting it into a retirement account, and that's no, a retirement account is for retirement, right? But then we hear
It's
so many Americans don't have enough savings.
Yeah, that's a great point, Peter. I was talking with DeAndre Clayton about this. You'll see people who they may have debt, maybe even a significant amount of debt, and they have little to no savings relative to their needs, but yet they have a big pile of money in a retirement account. That's totally backwards, right? You should probably prioritize paying down or paying off those debts, right? And building up some savings before you start actually investing, especially in a way that's not liquid, right? Um, and that gets back to something DeAndre talks about, which is how they are the powers that be when they talk about retirement accounts, they confuse saving with investing, right? They talk about saving for retirement. Well, that's disingenuous. This is an investment account, not a savings account, right? And so we talked about this before, Peter. This is a topic for another video, but there are many ways in which Wall Street twists the meaning of words. They'll say things that are maybe technically correct and maybe correct in a legalistic sense, but very misleading, right? Like when they refer to a retirement account, when they refer to contributions to a retirement account as you're saving for retirement. No, that is not a savings vehicle. That is an investment vehicle because it says all investments carry risk, right?
Yeah. And by and this is not also this is an entirely different topic, and make a note because I do want to talk about this one. But there was a period in my career where some people know this, some don't. You can see this on my LinkedIn profile, but I stopped producing full time as an insurance agent, and I worked for AT&T for a couple of years. Okay, actually more than a couple of years, about 5 years roughly. I had a 401k with AT&T, one of the largest corporations in this country, right? Um, Guidance. They don't give any guidance, by the way. This is one of the reasons why I hate 401ks so much. So all of us while we're working there, and I had, of course, the financial experience. A lot of people would come to me and say, what should I put my allocation into? What funds and this and that?" I'm thinking, and this 401k was managed by Fidelity, by the way. Okay. One of the top three biggest in this country. There's no guidance. People are literally asking, other employees, how are you doing it? And I
Mhm.
told them how I was doing it, but I said, I'm not giving investment advice. I
Mhm.
was putting it all, people are going to say this was horrible advice, but it actually worked pretty nice. I was putting it all into AT&T stock. Why? If you know AT&T, they pay a great big dividend and the stock practically never moves. Well, it kind of reminds me of a cash value life insurance policy in a way, right?
Yeah, and you invested in what you knew. You worked for AT&T, you know AT&T, so if you invest in what you know, you're probably going to be more successful. Most people invest in what they don't know. They
Right.
simply put their money mindlessly into a retirement account without really thinking about what am I investing in and why, and they give up control to somebody else rather than investing in what they actually know and understand. I don't think it's a good idea to put your money into something that you don't understand, right? Not that you need to understand every detail, but you need to understand, at least at a high level, what you're doing and why, right? And not only are you more likely to be successful, you also will be more likely to weather any storms that might come because you have an investment thesis that you believe in, right? And you might not get shaken out of a position that you believe in when other people get shaken out,
And I
right?
thought of that eight of mentioned my AT&T thing for another reason with your article here, because I bought a 2016 Toyota Tundra, which I still own. I love. And I think, took out about 5 grand out of my 401k to buy that truck. So there is a lot of people that take money. And once again, should I have been doing that? Probably not, right? But it was just easy to get a hold of that money. But I really think there's a real issue in this country about, I think the financial advice that we should be saving for retirement before we've actually build up that foundation, right? That foundational savings, having the proper amount of life insurance and all of that.
Right.
I think we do, as you said, I think we do it all backwards. I mean, I think as I like to say, I think it's financial malpractice.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, this is one of the things that they don't talk about. They talk about retirement accounts. And let's grant for the moment that retirement accounts can be great. And they can be. I'm not against them, right? I'm against the lack of thinking that goes in before people sign up for a retirement account. And I would like to talk about not the theoretical, hypothetical results that might happen, but what is actually happening. How many financial advisors who recommend people get into retirement accounts are going to tell you that, oh, by the way, half of the people who sign up for this plan don't follow through on it. They raid the money early for some reason. Why is another question. I'm assuming it's just because life happens, right? But doesn't that seem kind of strange that everybody is kind of, or almost everybody is kind of advising you to put your money into a retirement account, and yet 50% of people who do that end up not following the plan? Doesn't that seem strange?
No, I think it's all comes back to, and yes, I agree, it is strange, but at the same time, it's all about, you like to talk about it. Just, it's Wall Street. Just give us all your money, right? In a
Yeah.
systematic way.
Yep. Four
You can,
rules of financial institutions. Rule one, again, think about it from the perspective of the financial institution, right? If you're running a financial institution, right, what would you want? I would want people to give me their money. I would want people to give me their money on an ongoing systematic basis. I would want to hold on to their money for as long as possible. And I would want to give it back to them as slowly as possible, if at all, right? So yeah, but I like to look at, this is just one aspect of it, right? Which is, what are the practical results? Like, are people actually doing, right? So a majority of Americans have dipped into their retirement accounts before their golden years, a survey from Bankrate found. Fully 51% of those with the account said they had taken an early withdrawal, including 20% who did so during the COVID pandemic, according to the poll. Okay. Gen Z tapped into their savings at the highest rate, etc. Right? It kind of breaks down a bit by generation who's doing what. So 51%, more than half of people who have retirement accounts, use them prior to the 59 and a half age, right?
yep,
Um,
it's not good.
I have another video. I'll have to remember to link it below, to Bob Murphy. Peter, you're probably familiar with Bob Murphy, brilliant PhD economist,
Yep. Yep.
someone who knows a thing or two about finances, talking about why he cashed out his retirement account early. In his case, I believe it was a 403B because he's an academic. And I think part of the reason why he had it is because I think he had required contributions to it. Um, and so he cashed it out, paid the taxes and penalties, took the proceeds and put it mostly into whole life insurance policies, right? I personally, I had a 401k from a previous employer. I had been contributing because I got a generous match. I had left that employer. And eventually I rolled that 401k into an IRA, and then I cashed it out, paid the taxes and penalties, right? I concluded that um, it was better for me to get access to that money now, because the opportunity cost of not having access to that money would be far more than the taxes and penalties I would pay. Plus, I'm just not a believer in, quote unquote, the market, right? The stock market. I'm just not a believer. I can't control that. I don't have control over it. It doesn't give me cash flow. So it's not really where I want to put my money. Even if in theory I can make a lot off of it, I would rather have control of my capital.
Yeah. And I would argue, by the way, and some people will probably bash me for this one, if you do want to be invested in the market, you can just open up a brokerage account. I open up brokerage accounts for people all the time. Now, somebody's going to say, well, that's a taxable account.
Mhm.
Yes, it is. But I can also get my hands on it real quick. Okay.
Mhm.
And to me, the access to liquidity, I'm okay with the it being taxable as I sell stuff and all that stuff. So I think if I'd rather, me personally, I'd rather have a brokerage account than a IRA or whatever else.
Yep, and there are analyses that have been done. Now it depends on your situation, of course, but when people say that retirement accounts are tax advantaged, I think that is at least questionable, right? Whether you end up paying more or less taxes on that money depends on a number of factors, right? I think a lot of people assume that when they put money into a retirement account, there's a tax advantage. Well, not necessarily, right? Depends on a lot of things, right? Depends on where tax rates are, depends on your specific tax bracket, depends on when you take distributions, right? Depends on a lot of things,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And it introduces an unknown, right? It introduces a lot of unknowns, right? What's the
Yeah.
world going to look like 30 years from now? I don't know. I don't pretend to know that, right?
Yeah, and I think right now, especially, I mean, we are, I think we're tacking on an extra $1 trillion of national debt every 100 days, which is absolutely pure insanity. Um, I'm not going to go make it tell you that the Roth is better, but if I had to tell you one or the other right now, I mean, the Roth is probably, if you're going to have one, have a Roth, but I mean, you could also just have a cash value life insurance policy, which we like to call the rich man's Roth IRA. I mean, when they created the Roth IRA, they pretty much took the advantage, the benefit, the tax benefits of cash value life insurance
Hmm.
and stuck investments in and called it a Roth, and that's pretty much what you got, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
So there's some commentary here talking this goes into, obviously everyone knows when you withdraw, there's a 10% penalty plus taxes, right? Um, and then he says, withdrawing money early from retirement account costs you now and it really costs you later. Well, I would dispute that, right? I would always say, what is the cash surrender value of your retirement account, as Benton Penn would say, right? If you have $1 million in a retirement account, people are saying, well, I don't want to raid that early because then I'll lose money. Well, that's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it would be that $1 million number is false advertising. You don't actually have $1 million, right? You have what you can actually get your hands on. And no matter how you withdraw, even if you wait until retirement, you're still going to pay taxes on it, right? So in almost every scenario I can imagine, you're going to have less than $1 million because some taxes will come out of it, right?
right.
Whereas
I
whatever
mean,
you have in cash surrender value in a whole life insurance policy, that money is actually yours.
right. I mean, just think about it too, right? If you have a large traditional 401k or IRA and you go over 40 some thousand as a married couple right now in retirement, 85% of your social security is going to become taxable, right? If you make too much income, Medicare premiums, we call that the IRMA, right? Your Medicare premiums are going to go up. Oh
Mm-hmm.
my gosh. I mean, just it adds up. And by the way, a lot of people think they're going to be in a lower tax bracket in retirement. Well, that means that you're going to make have significantly less income in retirement for the most part, unless you do have a large cash value life insurance policy, because of course,
Mm-hmm.
that's not income, that's actually cash flow. That's totally different.
Mm-hmm.
They don't take this into a factor. And once again, our national debt is out of control right now, ladies and gentlemen. Taxes, they either got to raise taxes, cut spending, and how you really think they're going to cut spending? Heck no, they just added like another 40,000 government jobs. They're adding government jobs like it's, going out of style.
I've never understood the logic behind, oh, you're going to be in a lower tax bracket when you retire. Why would you plan to make less money? I
I
don't
know.
understand that, right? I want to make as much money as possible for as long as possible. I don't want my income to go down even when I retire, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I've never understood that.
It's like we want you to like squirrel away all this money all your life, and then we want you to, it goes back to what you like to talk about. Oh, but we don't want you to take out too much, right?
Right,
It's like,
right.
oh
Is
my gosh.
the carrot and the stick. The carrot is the false advertising of, "Lo, look at all this money you have in a retirement account." The stick is, but if you try and touch it, we're going to penalize you. So what you're telling me is I really don't have that money. That's what you're telling me. But by the way, Peter, they can charge fees on that full amount, even the money that's not yours, even
And
the money
that's,
that's
by the
earmarked for
way,
the IRS.
that's one of my favorite lines. I always say that's, you know, I tell people about that. and I say, that's like real collusion, not the fake Russian collusion stuff, but real collusion. I was like, you do realize that your financial advisor and the government are in collusion together because they get to charge a fee on the portion of your money that's not even yours. It's actually the government's money, but the government allows you to pretend that it's actually your money. So why would your financial advisor ever actually, let you know about that, right?
And
Or
why would you ever put your money in a place where you're afraid to touch it? How
well,
is it helping you? If it's not improving your cash flow at some point, how is it helping you? Right?
right.
I, I don't understand. But that's where cash value life insurance has the advantage of that beautiful policy loan feature where I'm not afraid to touch it because I can borrow against it on the most favorable terms known to man, no repayment terms whatsoever, without interrupting the growth in the policy.
It
Right?
doesn't show up as income, by the way. So
Right. All tax
that's a
free.
so add that up someday. Add up all the money that you're going to make, all your Social Security that's taxable with a traditional IRA account. The IRMA premium, by the way, which is substantial, because if you make too much income, we're going to penalize you. Like
Mhm.
so. Anyways, we gotta wrap this one up. We can
Yeah, I did like what he said. Successful saving is all about the habit. That's again disingenuous. I agree. What you're pointing out, though, Mr. McBride, is that putting money in a retirement account is not saving. Right? I totally agree. Successful saving, building that habit of being a disciplined saver is great. Putting money in a retirement account is not saving. That is investing. That is speculating. That money is at risk and you can't touch it.
yeah,
Right?
that's why I love this tin can. This is what John Savage talked about all the time. Cash value life insurance policy is that tin can, right? Every month, lid opens up, cash goes in, goes shut, right? And John always said that after, you can't touch it for the first 5 years. That was one of, anyways, there's more longer story behind that, but he always called a cash value life the tin can. He compared it to a bank account making like 1% and another bank account making 3% and then a tin can. And he said, which one do you think will have more money in it after 5 years? And it was actually the tin can, right? Because it was the process of actually putting the money in, closing the lid, and not taking money out of it. Where there's those bank accounts, you would complete access to that money, right? Even though you still have access to the cash value life insurance policy, he was trying to tell a story about systematic savings, and you know,
Right. And when you use a policy loan to access the money in cash value life insurance, you don't interrupt the compound interest you're earning. That's really important. Whereas
right?
when you withdraw money from a savings account, you interrupt all that. The money you withdraw is no longer earning. Right.
Yep. Amen. Amen.
So it's a plan, retirement accounts in which 50%, more than 50%, more than half of people who sign up for them don't successfully execute on the plan. Maybe that's something to consider. Maybe that's something to consider. I wonder why other people are not talking about that more, Peter. It seems strange, doesn't it? A factoid that they seem to skip over, right?
Well, how many factoids anymore do they not want to talk about? It's only about what's on their agenda, right?
Yep. And it's all hypothetical. They'll project out these wonderful returns, but none of that's guaranteed, right?
No.
Okay. Well, that thanks so much for your time, Peter. This is a shorter one. I know I like to ramble on forever, but Peter tries to keep me disciplined to keep them a little shorter. But thanks so much for your time, Peter. Greatly appreciate it. Can't
Yep.
wait for the next one.
God bless. Godspeed. See you.
Bye-bye.